So when Luke and I started Rocket Sloth, we kind of had this unspoken rule that we wouldn't be the channel to overdo it with update videos. And I think over the course of now 5 years since we've started Rocket Sloth, we just don't talk about the real stuff that goes on behind the scenes or our real lives all that much on YouTube. And as we've grown a community around Rocket Sloth and around the content that we make and Halo and all of that, I feel like we've missed out on having that relationship with our community. And Luke and I have talked about it, and that's something that we definitely want to change in the future. Because I think with a lot of the interactions we've had with our community, it's been mostly positive, and it's been really cool to get to meet a lot of the people who like seeing the weird things that Luke and I do on YouTube through our interactions we've had on things like Discord or Twitch streams and whatnot. We wanted to start being more open with everything going on, and simultaneously there's a lot of things that have been going on. It makes making a video like this a lot more awkward because I'm used to not having to talk to a camera and just talking to a microphone and being able to cut things very quickly and reword things and sound like a robot and whatnot. And there's two of us running this channel, which does obviously complicate things. I don't know if you guys have seen the state of Halo in the last couple of months, but it's been unique to say the least. It was like when Halo Infinite was about to come out, in the months leading up to it, there was a lot of hype and excitement, and then I think the reverse happened after the game came out. Not only was there no hype, but there was almost like a disdain towards Halo for a while. I think a lot of people, just like with any video game that releases, get really burnt out after like a big release and they want to look at other games and see other things going on, and that's fine. But that has been a thing that's impacted the entire Halo community, and it's been different to say the least. Moving forward, the point of that is, while things have gotten better with our side on YouTube and we want to be more transparent with what goes on behind the scenes and what things on YouTube actually looks like, we are going to be attempting to change up some of our strategies on YouTube and how we approach things like money making, monetization, and our community as a whole. And it's kind of scary to talk about and open up about, and we're gonna really start pushing our Patreon hard, I think, in the future. But I do want to come and talk about Rocket Sloth and kind of share the story of this whole channel from beginning to where we are now, because 5 years is a big deal. A lot has changed in our lives, both Luke and I's lives in 5 years. It's not something content creators really get a chance to talk about, or they don't feel comfortable talking about. I'm still a little uncomfortable trying to talk about it, but I want to try to have this open discourse before we just start being like, hey guys, Patreon, we need it. We need the support. So to back up, let's go to 2017. Luke and I started Rocket Sloth. If you guys didn't know this, there's this misconception that Luke and I are brothers or something. We're not. We actually met through pretty much YouTube, Twitter. We both had small YouTube channels before Rocket Sloth. I made a tweet saying I was looking for other people to work with because I just wanted to do something collaborative. And Luke emailed me and we started talking. We literally played games on Steam for a week. We played Rust and Roblox, I think. And we just had a really good time playing games, and we decided to start a YouTube channel. And Luke was still living in Germany. I was living in an apartment with my now wife, but then girlfriend, and I was going to college. I was in my junior year, and we just started Rocket Sloth, and we covered all types of games. We just wanted to be the gaming news channel, because there's none of those on YouTube, right? During that time, financially, it was a little bit stressful, obviously. I was living off of my student loan check that they would send me, because I had living expenses included in my loans that I have to pay back still. And Luke was working at McDonald's to keep himself afloat in Germany just while we were doing this YouTube thing, putting in all of this time, because back then our channel was small. We weren't making any money at all. But we started, covering all types of games, but we really started to focus in on Xbox type games. We talked a lot about the old Call of Duties. We talked about Halo, and we noticed we were getting a little bit of traction for some of those videos, and that was really a cool feeling. But during that time, I was getting closer to graduating from college, and I had no idea what I wanted to do or what I was going to do after I finished school. I was looking for jobs online. I applied at Kmart, they never got back to me on that. And I ended up landing this really interesting job doing voiceover work for another YouTube channel. And some of you have definitely heard me on this other channel. It's a relatively big-sized Marvel channel where they talk about the Marvel movies and whatnot. And I started voicing for them. It was an awesome gig. They paid me $1,500 a month when I started, with them adding that after I'd been there for a little while, it would go up to $2,000 or $2,500. I worked that job, and I had a couple other video editing jobs while we also worked on Rocket Sloth. I live in Washington State, so $1,500 doesn't go that far. But the other jobs were enough to keep me going when I finally did graduate college. My fiance and I, at the time, now wife, we moved back home with my parents after I graduated. We turned the basement into like a little apartment and had its own entrance. It was really cool. But during that time, we wanted to just save up as much money as we could so we could get our own place, because rent where we live is just skyrocketing high. And we wanted to one day be able to have a house. And we just thought if we just saved and saved and saved, we could use this opportunity. I could work on Rocket Sloth and these other jobs I have, and see, obviously, if I grow these channels, I can turn it into something. I got fired, by the way, just last month from the channel that I did the Marvel news for. So that's where that relates into in a minute. I'll talk about more of that in a second. But yeah, that was interesting. The early years of Rocket Sloth were very different. We're really focused in on more general content. But every time we did a Halo video, it would do well. And that was something we noticed, and I was down for, because I always loved Halo. Luke didn't have as much of like a Halo back history as I did, but he was interested in the things I like to talk about. So it was really easy to jump on and get Luke to play Halo, and he was interested in all the things going on in Halo. And it was cool to see the perspective of someone else kind of getting into Halo at the same time. During that time also, Luke moved to the United States because he had gotten married in Germany and moved over here, but he was living in Nebraska and I live in Washington State. So collaborating still, it's always been kind of digitally. We only would see each other like once a year at that point, once he was in the United States. By the end of 2018, I think that's when we started to have this revelation that like Rocket Sloth could actually become something. Like we were getting videos doing well on a somewhat regular basis and with some level of predictability. I mean, we would still upload videos and some of them would just, only get a couple thousand views, but then we would do a video and it would blow up or something. And we were learning as we went. And that's when we really like buckled down and we're like, we need to get content out on a regular basis and work together. And that's when like we got into the formula where I would just voice videos and then Luke would edit those videos rather than us both voicing videos and both editing. And just, we really streamlined our content, and it literally, working with someone else on a YouTube channel is, I think, the secret to like growing a channel nowadays. I think it's so much easier because you can hold each other accountable. Someone's like waiting on you to voice something, and because they need to edit it, and vice versa. Luke knows like I'm ready for a video to go out that I worked on and he needs to get it edited. And when you're working on YouTube, it's really easy to just kind of procrastinate when you're on your own. And I think it was really great being able to do that. So by like the end of 2018, we had like, I don't know, 16,000 subscribers or something. And we were like, this is it. Like we were doing the math in our head. We're like, if we keep just making content the way that we are, by this time next year, we could have like 50,000 subscribers or 60,000 subscribers. And that was a really big deal. In December of that year, I was playing video games late at night one night, and there was a knock on the door, and it was like state patrol or state troopers or something. And the door was upstairs, but I could hear it knocking. And I was probably the only one awake. I think my fiance was awake at the time too. But the knocks were loud enough that I could hear like the commotion of my parents getting up to go get the door. And I went to the staircase that kind of connected our downstairs apartment to theirs. And there was like a state patrol there letting my family know that my brother had been in a car accident, or that he he had rolled his car off of the interstate. No other car was involved. Just his car had slid off and then rolled back across, like he overcorrected, and the car landed in a ditch, and he was airlifted to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle, which is like 2 hours from where we live. So we knew it was a very serious issue because there's other hospitals in the vicinity. Like to have to go to Harborview, which is the big specialist hospital, and airlifted. It was serious. It turned out that my brother had a traumatic brain injury from the accident, and I don't need to go into too many details, but essentially he was in a coma. It was an incredibly hard time for all of us, just because besides the fact it was like just a couple days before Christmas, it was like, I don't know, this whole thing just kind of ripped us all like out of our own lives for a long time, and that was difficult. But what I'm getting at is, during that time where my brother was in the hospital, where he stayed in the hospital, he was in a coma, and he was in Harborview for like 3 or 4 months, and then they had to transfer him to a different care facility afterwards that could take care of someone with a ventilator and stuff like that. Since the hospital was like 2 hours away, we were constantly driving back and forth. My whole family, just round the clock. My parents stayed there. I don't think they even came home for a month or two after this. They were just there at the hospitals, staying at hotels and stuff. But after a little bit of time passed, we had to find like a new normal. And having Rocket Sloth and YouTube, and having like something that was forcing me to be creative and like make content, and then also getting to see the positive response, was seriously, like, you don't think about it at the time, but like it was one of the most beneficial things that probably kept me from really just going into like a deep depression, just because the fact that I needed to, I felt this obligation to keep making content and keep going, even if I was tired after driving back and forth, or just with everything that went on. Yeah, so that was pretty rough. And that whole year was just a rough year. My brother was in a coma. In September, Sandy and I got married. He wasn't obviously able to go to the wedding. So that was 9 months later. Luke and his wife even flew out to come to the wedding, which was cool. About 3 weeks after we got married, we got a call that my wife's mom was really not doing well, and we flew out there to where the family was over in the Midwest, and Sandy's mom passed away, and that was also really hard. Right after our wedding, literally just, we had been back maybe a week from a trip we went on during that time. Yeah, so it was that, and then maybe about a month later, we knew things with my brother probably weren't going that well, and that was kind of hard to accept, that like the likelihood of him ever like waking up from the coma was not something that was viable. And he ended up passing away on Thanksgiving of that year, and that was also hard. But in a way, it also was a little bit of a relief, because like, when you know someone closely, or in my brother's case, like, I know he wouldn't have wanted to like lay in a bed, for years and years. I try not to talk about it too much in a public forum. I guess this is the first time he actually addressing this, and it's weird because it's a Rocket Sloth video, but this is so much a part of Rocket Sloth's history. Like, 2018 was such a pivotal year for our channel. It would be it'd be dishonest to talk about the journey of Rocket Sloth without talking about how hard 2019 really was. But having Rocket Sloth as an outlet to make content and be creative, and 2019 was when we really started getting into the challenge type videos, where we were just like sitting down and trying to beat Halo in a different way. Like that stuff, besides just making the video and having that being therapeutic, being able to like record some sort of adventure or story from beginning to middle to end, like the whole journey of even just recording and seeing what was possible in Halo, there were simple challenges like not shooting. It wasn't like something that we struggled through, but being able to tell the entire journey and then focus in on the parts that were hard was something that was just like just a new form of I guess a hobby that I'd never been able to do before. Because besides just playing through Halo in a different way, having a purpose of playing through Halo another way, like getting to make a video, was kind of like the big highlight of it. And I think we ended 2019 with like 70,000 subscribers, and it wouldn't be too long into 2020 when we would hit 100,000 subscribers. Then the pandemic hit in 2020, and we all know how that went. Fortunately, like I had enough work between YouTube and working on this other channel and some freelance editing work I did. I was able to save quite a bit of money. I mean, we were living at home, so it's not like we had a lot of expenses either. And that was a good time. It felt like a time of trying to adjust and whatnot. We started streaming during that time too, and that was a lot of fun. I think it kind of brought Luke more to the forefront of the channel. Because he had spent so much time behind the scenes just editing, and a lot of people for a long time didn't even know he existed. And I think it is important that Luke does get credit too, because he's just as much a part of Rocket Sloth as I am. So fast forward a little bit to late last year, 2021, Halo comes out, and that was really exciting. There's no secret that with YouTube, like the long form content does very well, and our content's all based on long form content. And I mean, when Halo hit, like there was so much hype, so much excitement when Infinite finally came out. Like we were just like seeing so much growth in a way that we had never seen before. And we were prepared that there would be some lulls afterwards. But I don't think any Halo content creator thought that Halo would plummet off in interest as quickly as it did when like February rolled around. So before that, things were really good, and we had like December was like such an unusually amazing month, like a once in a lifetime. I don't think we'll ever have a month on YouTube ever as good as we had in December, where with a mix of our savings account that my wife and I had been working on for years, and just like the little extra money we got through YouTube, we were able to have enough money to get a down payment for a house. My brother is a mortgage broker, so we were able to talk to him and figure out what we needed to do. Earlier this year, we actually ended up finding a nice small 1,300-foot house, and we put all of our savings towards getting the house because of how competitive the housing market is and how crazy it is. And we ended up getting it. We had to put new ceilings in and paint the whole thing, but it's ours. And the best thing is our mortgage, because of how much we were able to save up, is pretty much equal to what we would have to pay for rent in a place like this. So it's not like we're making massive amount of money where, you know, we bought a mansion and we got a Ferrari and all these other things like some content creators have, but we're able to find something comfortable. But YouTube just dropped off. I mean, Halo dropped the ball really hard. I mean, when it comes to being a content creator, you obviously make content about a game you're passionate about, right? Like, we love Halo. We love, you know what I mean? Like, despite what anyone says, like, oh, we're critical of Halo Infinite, yeah. Like, we wouldn't make Halo content if we were just in it for, like, trying to capitalize on anything that we could. Like, there's other games out there. But we liked the way that we're able to tell stories through Halo. There was a couple months there where the revenue's been frighteningly, is that a right word? Frighteningly. There's been a couple months where it's been a little scary, money-wise. But in general, I've been usually okay because I had this other voice acting gig because I've been working on this other channel since 2018. And that was usually an extra $1,500 a month. I finally requested a raise because I was promised this $2,500 one day that I never saw. And they gave me the raise to $2,000. And then just last month, after 1 month of the raise, they told me they couldn't afford me anymore. and that they were going to be letting me go. And I mean, it teaches you a lesson about content creation. If you're ever a content creator and you're getting involved or you're involved in the creative process, you should probably negotiate some sort of equity at some point. Because, I don't know. I get it. I never owned a part of the channel, but I feel like I put a lot of work into helping grow a channel from 200,000 to like 700,000 subscribers. And not that I'm entitled to anything, but like, I guess I assumed that like I would have that job security just because I was the voice of a channel. I was the only person making content on the channel, mind you. I was just joining a team. They needed someone to do voiceovers, and I was the only person. But it stings a little bit, you know, when you really love like what you do and you make content, especially sometimes, gosh, how many videos I do a week? I did 1 to 2 videos a day, every weekday. So that would be like some months. I think I did like 40 videos in a month. I know the revenue wasn't that bad either at the end. I mean, they had added on a lot of other staff and stuff for other projects. But as far as like the channel that I was working on, it was making triple what they were paying me. But that still wasn't enough. So that was a little bit frustrating. And it was triple what they're paying me during a lull month. I know that during their good months, they were making much, much more. And I know that during the time when like Avengers Endgame and Infinity War came out, I know that channel had to have been clearing like $10,000 to $20,000 a month. And like, they, you know what I mean? They couldn't pay me more than $1,500. Stuff I agreed to do. It's all work I agreed to do. I'm not complaining about that. I guess the frustrating part is losing that source of income after putting so much time into it, right? Because I bit the bullet on negotiating money and dollar signs because I just wanted to stick around and continue to be a part of it, and I thought I'd earned that. So no hate or anything. I'm not upset with the channel. It's just something I've learned, I guess. Also, just a couple months ago, literally after we moved into our house, Luke decided to take the money he got from his half back in December and take the plunge in moving to Washington, where I live, so that we can work together on projects in person. And we really want to bring back our podcast that we had going for a while, but it's going to be a completely different dynamic since we're able to be in person together, actually like in the same room talking. And we've already come up with some really fun ideas on how we're going to do that on that channel and keep going with it, because I think the dynamic of us being in person is always way better than when you're in a video call with latency and stuff. And I think we're going to try to make it a worthwhile show, which for us to take that extra time, produce a show like a podcast or something, we're probably going to also be pushing our Patreon there to try to get extra support as well. And that could be a good way to really continuously diversify our sources of income, because YouTube alone is kind of a scary thought. So that brings us to Rocket Sloth. We're at crossroads with our channel here, because now I'm down a source of money. Luke and I split all of the revenue we make on Rocket Sloth 50-50. It's the smartest way, I think, for us to do it, because we both equally work on this channel and we're invested in this channel. And we do brand deals and we split that when they come in. It's hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes we work with a brand for multiple months and then they don't want to work anymore. And sometimes we have a ton of brands wanting to work with us, and sometimes there's months where there's just nothing. And that can be really scary when you have bills to pay. Which brings us back to what we want to do moving forward. And we want to try to be more self-sustainable with Rocket Sloth. And I think we've had a Patreon and we've been hesitant to overly promote it because we don't want people to feel like we're just like shilling for money. If there was anyone out there who really wanted to know like the ins and outs and the behind the scenes of Rocket Sloth and want to help us with our journey moving forward, we wouldn't say no either. So I think we're moving forward. You guys are going to see more ads on our channel, more like spots where we would normally do a brand deal. We're probably going to switch those out with ads for our Patreon. We're going to set some hefty goals, because I think ultimately Luke and I want to be able to do Rocket Sloth full time and continue to do full time Rocket Sloth. Realistically, we might have to pick up other jobs here and there. If you're a big YouTuber and you're looking for an editor, hit me up. I can help edit. I got credit card bills to pay off. But I think we're going to really try to push the Patreon more moving forward. I know that we've seen other content creators push Patreon and they get, a couple $100 on Patreon. And I think we're going to set a hefty goal and just push for that goal and continue to promote it and keep everyone updated on how close we are to reaching that goal, to where we're at a point where Luke and I can probably rely on a mix of ad revenue and Patreon income to sustain ourselves comfortably, because money's tight. Like, in a perfect world, like, if Patreon brought in $2,000 a month and Luke and I were able to split that, I think we would have a nice cushion where if we ran into a month like we did back in April, which was terrifying, where revenue just randomly drops way down, we would have a little bit of a cushion to sustain our income while we also try to put money back and build a bigger cushion in a savings account. But moving expenses, also in my case, renovation expenses to buy a house and get moved into a house, it's a lot more expensive than you think it would end up being. So I think in the future, if you hear us promoting Patreon and you hear, us pushing to try to reach a goal number like $2,000, it's not just to like line our pockets. It's literally, we're not the type of people to live beyond our means. We're not, buying brand new cars and just crazy stuff with the money. We're just trying to live normal lives out here. There's a lot of other endeavors that we want to try to allocate more time to. There's streaming on Twitch, which is something that we started getting back into last week, and we're going to really start pushing hard on that more in the future. Twitch.tv/RocketSloth. For the most part, it's just been Luke's perspective streaming, but I've recently started doing face cam and stuff, showing up while we play together. And Luke's trying to help me get set up so on days where he can't stream, I can just come on and stream, because I've been speedrunning Halo 3 ODST Acrophobia a lot lately, and I'm getting close to that world record. I really have fun doing that, and I think it'd be fun just to like play and hang out with everyone and just have a good time. Also, some of you guys may have known this for a while, but I also make music for our videos. That's something I'm really passionate about. I released an album for free earlier this year, so if you haven't listened to it already, you can take a listen. It's on Spotify and iTunes. And then I released like a licensed version for content creators and stuff. But there's a lot of drafts of music that I make. I do covers of songs from video games like Halo and Destiny for videos that we're working on. And since they're copyrighted, I can't like release them officially. And I think using something like Patreon just to give those out for anyone to listen to or throw in their videos if they need some background music, could be a really cool benefit as well. So moving forward, I think the plan is we're going to try to push hard on Patreon over the next year and try to hit this goal of $2,000 by maybe this time next year if possible, or as close to it as we can. Because I think we would be put in a position where we have more time to do more content like the podcast and streaming and all these other things that we really want to do, because we're not having to worry about picking up work, freelance editing, and other things like that. But yeah, we're going to set the hefty goal of $2,000, which is 1% of our entire subscriber base. It's actually less than 1% of our entire subscriber base. If our entire subscriber base pledged $1, if 1% of our entire subscriber base pledged $1, we would hit our goal. It's that straightforward. Now, obviously, that's not going to be the case. We're never going to see a 1% turnover. It's going to be the select few people who like our content enough that want to support us, and that's awesome. But we also want to be able to pinpoint those people who support us that much, or are willing to support us that much, and kind of show that support back and talk to them almost as like this producer type role. There's a couple of other things that we kind of thought about with our perks and whatnot, besides little things like Discord badges and flares that make you stand out. Little things also like guilt-free ad block. I mean, a lot of people on YouTube like use ad block. Like it's commonplace to use ad block, skip ads, because ads can be egregious. But if you become a patron and you throw like $3 our way, you can just feel guilt-free about using ad block on our channel. And if you actually did pledge like $3, which is like our lowest tier, you pretty much would be paying for someone else anonymously to use Adblock guilt free. Obviously, there's no way of actually monitoring who's using Adblock and who's not. But like, you could be like, hey, I don't have to feel bad about using Adblock because I don't already, but I do support them on Patreon. I don't know where I'm going with that tangent, but I just think it's worth keeping in there because it's interesting. It's crazy to think we've been doing Rocket Sloth for 5 years. Luke and I both have been full-time on YouTube for a while now, probably over a year. And that's been good. It's been scary sometimes, and it's been really fun other times. And if we can just come up with a method to just literally just curve the highs and lows a little bit and have like just a tiny bit of extra guaranteed money coming in where we don't have to worry about AdSense or anything like that, I think we would just feel a lot more confident and there'd be a lot less anxiety from our perspective of being content creators. There is anxiety when your whole livelihood is based on your channel that is based on a franchise that is questionably being run right now. You know, Halo's going to come back. Halo's going to get excitement again. There's going to be more content, and I'm confident in that. Like, I don't think anybody expected like February, March, April, May to just completely drop off the way that it did. Just in case there's ever a time period where something like that happens again, it would be nice not to be absolutely terrified for the sakes of our career. We've recently started really upping the quality of some of our videos. You might have seen some more documentary style content we've been putting out, like the Cody Miller video, the JaValen coverage. We did a really good one on Destiny that not a lot of people saw because the YouTube algorithm's not fun. But those types of videos that take that extra work, like, I mean, we spend so much time researching and editing those videos. We're just really proud of them at the end of the day, and we would love nothing more than get to make way more content like that in the future and less of the more like, I don't know, like lightweight videos. We just want to constantly put out heavy hitters, and we're getting good at making these long videos. Like Luke and I's like workflow when we have a good project and a good topic, like we're getting like good at making them really high quality and also at a somewhat fast rate. However, if we do one and it doesn't do well, the whole thing's like not sustainable anymore. And while like the JaValen ones did well, Cody Miller did well, we run into something like the Destiny one, it really it causes issues, and then we have to quickly flip a new video out that's shorter or quicker or something else to kind of make up for the loss. Like we're on very, very tight margins when we're doing this type of content. Like I said, $2,000 will be our goal. It's a huge number. I don't think I've seen very many content creators ever get that far, but we're going to set it up as our goal. We're going to push for our goal. We're going to spend a whole year just like promoting it in our videos, talking about it, and just seeing if anyone out there is willing to throw a couple bucks our way, and then reevaluate it. If we don't hit it in a year, then maybe we need to think of something else content-wise and go from there. But I think it's a good starting point. It's scary talking about this stuff. Like, I've just been monologuing to a camera for about an hour, and I'm just sending this over to Luke to edit down and add anything that he thinks is necessary, or cut anything that's necessary, or cut anything that's unnecessary. Yeah, I don't think I can even watch this video back. I have this whole other anxiety I don't talk about where I don't like to listen to my own voice or watch my own videos, which is another part of why our dynamic of Luke and I work so well. So I have to just send this off to Luke and hope he can piece together a video. I apologize if something I said didn't make much sense. I'm not used to being in front of the camera that much. If you do want to help us and you want to further our content creation, literally our Patreon's probably the thing that I'd point you to. Like I said, just a couple dollars our way goes a long way. There's higher tiers for people who have the money to go further. But also, if you don't have the money, like, you know, I get it. Like, finances are tough. Being an adult is hard. The same situation for us right now. We still just appreciate you guys watching and hanging out and showing up to streams and commenting. And honestly, even if you've never commented ever before and you're, you know, just watching this, or you've watched any of our content, we still appreciate it more than you ever know. I mean, having this channel has helped me so much more than just financially like it looks like on the surface. But I think I've rambled on enough. I'm just gonna send this over to Luke and hope for the best. Hopefully I haven't made anyone angry by promoting our Patreon or talking about finances and the history of Rocket Sloth. Yeah, so thanks for watching. We'll be back with some more content very soon. We have a ton of content on our channel. I'm sure you've missed something because the algorithm hasn't sent you to it, so you can go check some of our more recent videos. If you did watch this far in the video, just comment with the word cool story bro. Yeah, just comment cool story bro if you actually watch this far. I'm just curious how many people actually make it to the end of these videos. Not that many, I assume, but it'll be interesting to see. All right, we'll see you all next time with a new video. Bye.